It's time to rev your engines. The Syracuse Nationals proudly presents the Cavalcade of Cars, March 22nd through 23rd at the New York State Fairgrounds. The two-day indoor car show features all the classics, plus lifted trucks, Jeeps, motorcycles, and more. Cavalcade of Cars, CNY.com.
Former Syracuse standouts Etan Thomas and Eric Devendorf.
What's going on, everyone? Beginning of the week, it's Monday, it's 11 o'clock, so you know what time it is. It's the Etan Devo show. What's going on? E, how was your weekend, man?
It was pretty good. Can't complain at all. Got to give a quick shout out to my daughter's volleyball team, Maryland Juniors. They went undefeated, didn't drop a set, and won a championship, so give a quick shout out to Imani and her team.
Oh, that's what's up. Well, congrats to your daughter. That's a great accomplishment, man. So, E, we had Selection Sunday last night, and it was it was some winners and it was some losers. All right, and it was a lot of teams that we thought got in that maybe shouldn't have. It was some teams that were seeded wrong. I'm looking at Louisville. We talk about North Carolina getting in, and West Virginia not, and Ohio State. So look, E, I don't know what they talk about. Quad one metrics, net, KenPom, all that. And then when they pick the teams, it's like, all right, well, what did you guys go off? Because it wasn't anything that you talked about during the year. So, I mean, what was your take from last night?
Well, let's start off with North Carolina, because that's the one that got everybody kind of riled up. And I got to say, it was a little bit surprising to me that they did get in. Yes, they were playing better as of late. Coach Davis went to he started off with a smaller lineup, and it just really wasn't working. And then he started off with a bigger lineup, and they had a little bit of success. But as far as their quad wins, I think they had 11 tries to try to get a quad win, and they only got one. And
111.
That's I don't know. When you look at other teams, when you look at somebody like West Virginia, you look at somebody like Indiana, you look at Ohio State. You see how many quad wins they had, and it's hard to make the case for North Carolina. So maybe you help me out. Maybe help me make the case for why North Carolina got in.
I can't. I mean, I don't think North Carolina should have got in. I mean, I don't know if the committee is trying to throw the ACC conference a bone or something. And I was talking to Tim, our producer, before the show, and he brought up that it was kind of like a Syracuse situation back when Buddy Boeheim was playing. I want to say 2000. I can't even remember, but it's the year that we lost to Houston in the Sweet 16. Probably weren't supposed to get in the tournament. 21, thanks, Tim. So 2021 got in the tournament, weren't supposed to, but then ended up going on a run, right? Ended up getting all the way to the Sweet 16 where they lost to a really good Houston team. So, I mean, if you look at how it's set up for North Carolina, they play San Diego State. It's for the play-in game. They could definitely win that game. And then they got the bracket right here. And then if they win that, they end up playing Ole Miss. All right. If they win that game, they play the winner of Iowa State and Lipscomb. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but they have a path where they could go on a run right now. I mean, we saw they were playing better towards the end of the year, as you mentioned, E. So, I mean, look, they got in. They got a clean slate. I mean, could it be one of those years where, they go on a run? We talked about North Carolina State last year a lot and getting all the way to the Final Four. North Carolina has talent. They have experience with guys like R.J. Davis, former ACC Player of the Year. I just think they shouldn't have got in. I mean, when you talk about West Virginia, I think they had 6 quad one wins, right? Mm-hmm. And Ohio State said they were in that same type of area. Who's the other team that you just mentioned? Sorry about who's that?
Indiana had 4 quad wins.
Indiana, and they actually were playing really well towards the end of the year, and I think that's what the committee wants to see is teams playing well going into the tournament. So hey, I guess we really have no clue. What do you, I mean? And the committee, they had those guys, and you can't be in the room when you're doing the picking. But 2 of those guys on the committee went to North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
Bubba Cunningham, I believe, the AD were actually, well, North Carolina guys. So, and, that's a little bit of conflict of interest there. I don't know if that's really the way that they should have this set up, but it's tough. And like you said, they could go on an unbelievable run. It's kind of set up for them. It's a lot of people are upset, that they don't feel that it's fair. I feel like the North Carolina brand may have had something to do with it. As far as from a marketing standpoint and bringing eyes to the March Madness, like they need more eyes, like they need more viewership and more money. I think they get plenty, but that could be something just that brand is just synonymous with college basketball, and you're tying the Jordan brand and everything. So a little bit from a marketing standpoint, it just makes sense for them to get the nod. Now that's more speculation, but does it kind of make sense? Does it, as far as it's not because of the quad wins. So what else would be the reasons, that they are getting that nod to be able to get the into March Madness?
Yeah, look, those other teams that we mentioned, I would have picked them over North Carolina. But I think just the brand and just who North Carolina is. You talk about the Jordan brand, that's international brand, and North Carolina, Duke, like Kentucky, those are kind of like the blue bloods. And when they're a part of something, you're going to get more eyes on it. And that's what it's about. I mean, the more viewership you get watching this tournament, the more money that comes in, the higher the ratings and the more TV deals, right? Or however it goes. I mean, and we know about the TV deals. That's where all the money is coming. Billions of dollars of revenue is coming from those TV deals. So you can't tell me that doesn't have a part in the committee's decision, or the NCAA doesn't tip them off before going into me like, hey, I want you guys to keep this in mind. All right. Remember Duke, Kentucky, and North Carolina. These are who the people want to see, right? Those are the number of fans that these schools have. I mean, it's just a fact. I don't think we're wrong in saying that. I just think it is what it is. And now more than ever, college basketball, it's always been a business, right? But now more than ever, it's really a business. And, with the players getting paid and all these sponsorships, I mean, just think about, like, okay, some of these guys getting the NIL during the season, but now when the NCAA tournament comes in, like in the sponsorships they're able to get, just go ahead and have a 30-point game, somebody from Lipscomb or something like that. You go ahead and get a sponsorship from like some type of car dealership or Dove or something like that. I mean, the opportunities for these kids now is really endless. But I think it's definitely the brand and who North Carolina is. It definitely had a part in the committee. And it's sad, though, because you want to see those teams who earned it get in and get a chance to prove themselves and play on that stage. But
yeah, I gotta give a quick shout out to my former teammate. I was teammates with him here at the Washington Wizards, Hubert Davis, though, because I saw something that he did that I was like, okay, that's what's up, Hubert. So if you saw the play at the end of the game when they were playing Duke, Jalen Withers, he had the free throw violation, right at the end. Like, tough way to lose, heartbreaking. Really, really felt for him. But I liked how Hubert Davis was standing next to him, during the press conference, and he was kind of had his arm around him, and he was like, no, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, and everything he's meant to this team for the whole season. And, he kind of had his back. And I thought that was cool, you know what I mean? Because a lot of coaches, they would have maybe thrown him under the bus. They might have said something slick to him about him to the media, we can't make mistakes like that, something like that. But Hubert Davis didn't take that route. So in him doing that, I guarantee you there are other recruits or, maybe some people thinking, that they're going to transfer to North Carolina. They're looking at him saying, oh, okay, I like the way that Coach Davis had his team, had his players back. That's somebody who I would like to play for. So, that was just a good move. It was a good classy move by my former teammate, Hubert Davis. So got to give him a quick shout out for that.
And right at that moment, and I saw it was like, because he was timing it, right? And it was just, he just timed it wrong. It wasn't like he was trying to do that. That was the most crucial moment in the game, right? If he wouldn't have did that, they probably would have tied it up or whatever it is and ended up winning the game. But man, for Coach Davis to have his players back. I mean, because he felt all of that weight. All that weight was on Wither's shoulders at that moment. You saw him on the bench. The camera was just right on him, even when the game was going on. And I mean, he was taking all that on. So for your coach at a university like that to come and have your back, well, it says more about Coach Davis. Is he stepped outside of that coaching mode for a second and just became like, hey, look, a good human being. Like, this is my guy. This is, he's on my team. He's my player. I'm not going to continue to bash him. He already feels terrible, so
yeah.
What's it going to do to continue to bash him? So it was awesome to see Coach Davis come to his side and say, hey, without him, we wouldn't even have been in this position, which is true. But to your point about recruiting, I think a lot of players who see that, I mean, they definitely want to come and play for a guy like that, a guy who has your back through thick and thin, through the ups and downs. And again, it just shows what type of character Coach Davis has to come and put your arm around that kid when the media was, they couldn't wait to storm and ask him that, hey, what was going through your mind when you stepped through the – what do you mean? What do you mean was going through I made a mistake, man. I was trying to go in there and get an advantage for my team, but just not the right time to do it. But awesome by Coach Davis to come in and have his players back like that. That was awesome to see.
Definitely agree. Now, what other teams were a little bit surprised to you on Selection Sunday that they either made it or didn't make it?
So, I mean, I'm going back to Louisville. I mean, they won 19 of their last 21 games of the year. They were 18-2 in the ACC. They were runners up in the regular season. They were runners up in the conference tournament. They were ranked 16th or something, I think, or maybe 13th in the country. And they get an 8 seed. Not only do they get an 8 seed, but they're playing Creighton, which is probably, I mean, Creighton's a 9 seed, but I mean, they were competing against St. John's for that Big East title. So, man, that's a tough draw right there. I think what Pat Kelsey has done at Louisville the whole year to be able to bring them back from those 2 years of really misery, right? They were terrible the last 2 years, but 27-7, 19 of their last 21 wins. Winning the 19 of the last 21 games, and to have an 8 seed, and then Clemson got a 5th seed or a 5 seed, and Louisville beat Clemson twice. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was really like a slight to Louisville, and I was listening to Pat Kelsey, and he felt the same way. He felt it was like a slight in all the metrics. If you go through all the quad one, all that stuff, I mean, Louisville really hit every single one. And for them to get an 8 seed, it's disrespectful. And not only do you play Creighton, but if you beat Creighton, then you have to play the number 1 overall seed in the tournament in Auburn. So it's just, I think Louisville definitely got slighted. I mean, they should have been a 5 seed, if anything. And go ahead, E. Sorry.
No, I definitely agree. Not to cut you off, I definitely agree. I wanted to, before we have to go to a break, I want to ask you this next question. The SEC got 14 teams in the tournament. Now, I don't know if that's ever happened before. That many teams have gotten in, but were you surprised? Do you have any issue with that many teams going in from one conference?
No, I think the SEC has been dominant the whole year. They've really been the dominant conference. So I guess they were looking at like the competition they were playing against, and they were beating up on each other. But 14 teams is a lot. I think you could have took we talk about the ACC. You could have took some teams. You talk about SMU 20-win season. You talk about Wake Forest, and even them, those guys, those 2 teams, they were on the cusp of getting in. But now we're going back to teams like West Virginia and Indiana and Ohio State. Now you're taking away, regardless of how good the conference is, you got to look at what these other teams are doing, and how good they've been playing towards the end of the year. And I think those 3 teams specifically, Ohio State, West Virginia, and Indiana, they got slighted. I mean, regardless of how good the SEC tournament or the conference was this whole year, they should have looked at some other teams. But let's finish talking about that when we come back from break.
Compact yet mighty, the versatile BMW X1 SUV.
Cool. Yeah, Etan Devo, do you think TV ratings have to do with teams like UNC getting in? Yeah, Yeah, we do.
100% yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The Big East once got 11 teams, and yeah, that was the last. I forget what year that was.
Oh, really? They got 11?
Yeah.
You got 11.
What year was that, Tim? Oh, 09.
Who team is the record? Okay.
Oh, it's 2011. The Big East got those in. Michigan State got a 2 seed. Florida's going to be really good. They're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it could be UConn in the second game or Oklahoma. Yeah, they got St. John's at the bottom. That'd be a tough one. Tennessee is another sleeper. Tennessee is in. Oh, they're in Dukes. I like Tennessee though. Oh, they're in Houston. Excuse me. Yeah, Clemson has a tough one. Clemson and McNeese State. That first game will be tough for them.
McNeese State. I haven't seen them much this year.
Well, that's where what's his name? Copeland, Quidar. How do you say it? Quidar, right?
Yeah, he's at McNeese.
He went to McNeese State. Yeah, he got second team all conference.
Oh, okay, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, 27-6.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to stay at McNeese State.
Yeah. Where do you see him going? Where do you see Will Wade going possibly?
Mm.
Yeah.
What about Indiana? Yeah, Indiana, right? Oh, Villanova's open. Really? Yeah, they're playing Xavier. Okay. Yeah, 19-15. They're 19-15. That's one. That was one of the SEC teams from out of the 14 getting in 19-15.
19-15. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. Uh-oh, hold up.
I think St. John's is going to be good too, man. They're going to be tough.
All right. Oh, my light. Yep, I didn't kick the light thing. It's back, right? It's good? Okay.
Yeah.
Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. This is the Etan Devo Show. Here are former Syracuse standouts Etan Thomas and Eric Devendorf.
So let's finish touching on that SEC real quick. We were just talking about during break. Texas is a 19-15 team, and they're in the SEC. One of those 14 teams that got in there. They had the play-in game versus Xavier. Again, I don't know. They got 14 teams in, but we keep talking about West Virginia and Indiana, Ohio State. Those teams deserve to get in over a team like Texas.
Yeah, I think so. And it's I mean, the strength. I mean, the SEC was tough. We're not gonna act like they weren't, but that's 14 teams. That's the record ever. That's a lot. I didn't know that the Big East had 11 teams in back in 2011.
Yeah,
that what they told us, but But 14 is a lot, though. 14 is a lot. But I got to say this, E, and not, Syracuse fans, not to bring up old stuff, okay? Not to bring up old stuff. However, it was painful for me to watch Kadary just go on a terror the entire Big East tournament. And look, when he left Syracuse, I wrote an article and I said that we were really going to regret this. And I talked to some of the coaches, and they were kind of saying, well, Kadary didn't do this, and I was like, yeah, I hear you, but every time that I saw him when he checked into the game, he changed the entire game. And I saw him almost have a triple-double against Marquette, and in the championship game against Creighton, he had a double-double. He had 12 and 12. I saw him just diming people, just running the offense, like putting people in their positions and their spots. When the man was hot that second half, he kept setting him up. He was a great point guard, and he's going to play in the league. He's going to get a shot in the league. But, yeah, it hurts, because he should have been in Syracuse. He should have been in Syracuse doing that. Like just commanding, running the general as the team and everything like that. I don't know. For me, like I said, I want to bring up old stuff, but it's hard for me to look at that. That's all I kept thinking about.
No, you're right. He's 34 minutes, 6 for 10, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 12 points. So my only thing with him is he has to be able to get a better shot. If you want to have some longevity in your pro career, you have to be able to shoot the ball. I mean, this year he shot what was from the three. He shot 18% from the three this year, and he shot 54% from the free throw line. So, and we know that's not his strength, but for him, this summer is a big summer. You got to get in the gym and work on your jump shot. But everything else, as far as a tough defender at the point of attack, he could guard 1, 2, or 3. He could even switch on a big man because he's a strong guard. I mean, he's super capable of getting into the lane at any time he wants, right? That's his strength, really, is getting out in transition, handling the ball, getting into the paint, making plays for others. But, I mean, Rick Pitino, if you got a guy like Rick Pitino, he's going to bring that dog out of you, too. And I think for Kadary, and he did well at Seton Hall, too. But
he had that dog when he was here. He had that dog when he was in Syracuse.
But Rick Pitino really brought it out.
I'll say that Rick Pitino coached him well, but I will say that he could play when he was at Syracuse. Every single time he checked into the game, he changed the whole momentum of the game. And and it's not Gerard. Coach Boeheim was really dedicated to playing Gerard at the point that year. I don't remember what year it was, but he was dedicated to playing him at the point. Yeah. Gerard is a 2. He's a 2 guard. He's not a point. There's one criticism that
2021,
right,
he says. That's what, yeah.
Right. So play them together. Let him set up Gerard for the 3. Kadary wasn't trying to shoot any 3s. He's just going to set everybody up. And he
exactly.
There was times where Gerard would literally be turning around and dribbling the ball down the court because he didn't want to handle the ball. Teams were just running at him, where Kadary could break the whole press by himself. Without even any kind of stress. I don't need no press break. I don't need any special play. I'm just going to break it all myself, and I'm going to get us into our offense. That's what we needed. We needed that.
Yeah. No, he was the press break. It's funny because I was watching the game against Creighton. Like they would literally just give him the ball, and he was just pushing the ball in front and just going to. I'm like, and then he just set it up at half court and just. I'm like, well, yeah, you are the press break. But if you would have had him at the 1. And then you had a Buddy and Joe on the wings. Like, you're right. That's what he wanted to do. He doesn't want to really shoot the ball. Like, he can score the ball, absolutely, but he wants to do it getting into the lane and attacking the hoop. But when he does that, he's really looking for his guys. I mean, I thought he could have been. And look, I thought Joe, he improved at the point guard position, especially when he went to Clemson. But even though when he went to Clemson, he had Chase Hunter. Chase Hunter was a guy who was primarily handling the ball at that time, and he was playing off the ball. So Kadary would have been the same type of feel, but I think Kadary is even better than Chase Hunter. And Chase Hunter was first team All ACC. But man, and look, you're right. He did have that dog in him already. I love Kadary. I think a guy from Brooklyn. You could see that. He's from New York City. Just how he plays. Like he has that freedom. He has that creativity. Like he has that whole NYC. Mentality. But I think that he ended up going where he's supposed to go, man. Like everything happens for a reason, and I think that, I mean, he gave himself a chance to become a pro. Playing under Rick Pitino at St. John's. I wish he would have stayed at Cuse too, man. He would have been a pro at Cuse too. But everything's happened for a reason. And maybe look, if you had certain people on staff or whoever that wanted to deal with those things that they said maybe they didn't want to deal with, maybe it would have been different. But he went back home. He got $1 million. That was a big deal. He got $1 million from St. John's. He's at the crib, so he's in New York City. I mean, his story worked out, I think, how he wanted it to be. I mean, he's at home in front of his family. He's playing all conference basketball. And like I said, he just has to improve that jump shot. I think he's going to give himself a shot at the league. I didn't know he was 6'6", man. Damn, 6'6", 215. Tall,
long arms. You know what I mean? Selfishly, I wanted him in the Cuse uniform. I mean, I liked him on defense here when he was on the press because he was long and athletic and everything like that. I don't know, man. I think we fumbled that one. I will be honest with you. Now, would we have maybe lost him anyway NIL if we couldn't match that level of NIL? Possibly, but I don't know. Not for the reason that he left. That was before NIL was even really a thing. He left because, he wasn't getting the playing time and it didn't seem that. He left for other reasons, Tough for me. That's tough for me. Not gonna lie.
And St. John's number 2 seed. And they're playing, what bracket they're in? They're in the, let me get this real quick. They're in the West bracket. So they play Omaha their first game. They got a pretty good path too. I mean, they might end up seeing Florida, which would be a tough game. But man, they're my dark horse, man. They're the second highest defensive efficiency in the country. So second in defensive efficiency in the country, excuse me. I mean, Rick Pitino got them locked in. And then if they got guys like Luis Jr. Who could score the ball, Kadari, and they got the big fella who's been dominating, playing really good the last few months of the season. I mean, I think they're my dark horse to get all the way to the Final Four. They can beat Florida. I mean, when you lock up like that, they're going to have guys step up and make shots from the perimeter. But man, when you play defensive like that in this tournament, that's going to win you ball games. But yes, we do miss Kadari, and look, that kind of brings us to our next topic, the off season for Syracuse. I mean, what's that look like? What's the off season for Syracuse look like? We got to retain some guys. We got to go out and get some guys. We talked about it a little bit, but I mean, what is the needs? What are their needs? What do you see that they need, and who do they have to retain?
I want to see if Paulie can pull up this clip because I saw a lot of people talking about it, and it was a clip of Red talking about the media and the way that he was being covered. And he said that the media could have done a little bit of a better job. And he mentioned something about the fans. And I just saw people talking about it, the fans talking about it literally all weekend, all week, I guess, since he said it. And let's see if we could maybe pull that up and we could, run it when we come back from break. But, I wish he would have said something different. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if he later on cleared it up or said it a little in a different way after that. I wish, the message would have been more of, we're going to go out here. We're going to hit the transfer portal hard. We're going to, make sure that we turn this around and dedicated, go SU, all that stuff. But I don't know why he would say that anything about the media and how the media was covering him and how the fans were. I mean, this was a tough year. You know what I mean? This was a tough year. Let's be honest. This was a tough year for everyone. Fans were trying to hang in there. Hey, listen, we got accused of being too positive sometimes. You know what I mean? What do y'all do? They're telling us we were too nice, too positive about our outlook, or saying too much positive things about the players, or trying to look on the bright side of this, or compliment a player doing this. And so, I mean, I just didn't think that was the way to go for Coach. Just to say he didn't like the way that the media was covering him. Coach.
We talked about it too on our last show. Regardless of everything that you say, it's all about winning. If you're not winning games, I don't care who you are, what players you have, what you're talking about, what you're gonna do, what you're gonna get, the NIL money coming in. They want to see wins. They don't want to see, we're gonna draw these plays up. Offense is gonna do this. No. Are you winning basketball games? So when you're not winning, this is how the media is going to cover you. I mean, especially in Syracuse, and we're part of the media, but like you said, like we try to do our best and steer the other way from the negativity, right? We're not just going to be bashing people. Oh, he's terrible. He's not doing this. What does that get accomplished?
Right.
I don't think it accomplishes anything. So we kind of try to give, hey, maybe he could do this, or look at it this way, or bring this, whatever it may be. So that's how we're trying to, go about things. We want to steer from the negativity. We don't just want to be straight negative about what's going on.
We can have an honest critique, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which we do. We can have a critique, but we're not just going to come and just bash. We're horrible. We're terrible. We suck. The whole season should just be a forfeit. Like, well, what would be the purpose of that? I know that's not even constructive. We can break down the positives and the things that we need to improve on. And yes, there are things that we can discuss. But I don't know. Let's go to break and we'll see. But you do want everybody to have a positive outlook. But from what I've heard from the fans, that statement didn't really sit well with a lot of the SU fans, and I can understand why.
The Sports Show with Cody Mack.
Man, there has been a couple days worth of great games. I'm going to go out on a very, very large.
Here's a question for. Okay, Lawrence Moten basically said SU should apologize to Adam Weissman and mend fences and get Adam back to SU. Do you agree that SU needs to apologize to Adam, mend fences, and get Adam back to SU games?
I don't know enough about the situation to even comment on it, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was the breakdown. I don't know. I know he was doing a lot. It seemed like a lot, maybe a little bit prematurely, because the NIL rules hadn't all the way set in yet. So it was kind of like almost, I don't know all the details of it, to know what anybody would need to apologize for, or why, Weissman is just completely off of us, just as a whole. So maybe somebody should, interview Weissman and see what his take is and what he says. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, because he's back in the. Say it again, Paulie.
I just want to hit Etan with something.
Uh-oh.
If Rick Pitino got Qatari when he was a senior. If Rick Pitino had Qatari as a freshman, he would have transferred out too, because Rick Pitino wouldn't have put up with the way Qatari was as a freshman either.
Well, okay. So I guess it's how he was as a freshman and how he was acting out. I guess those are reports, and he was being late for practice and he didn't want to, work out. He was acting out after he wasn't, playing. Listen, if he was playing, would he have been acting out? If he was playing the way that he should have been playing, would he have been then would he have been acting out, or would he have been all bought in? Like I think that year, I think we mishandled his playing time as a whole. So yes, okay, the acting out came after that, and I'm not saying that he handled the situation the right way, but there was something that happened before that could have prevented the acting out. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Andy would have been gone anyways by this year because Syracuse didn't have $1 million.
I'll give you that with the NIL. I'll give you that with the NIL.
And also, I mean, there's been guys that they've had to deal with that who were worse than Qatari.
Way worse. I don't know nobody under the bus ever, but the stuff that they said that he was, I was like, wait, so he missed a workout and he was late. That's it?
He wasn't an off-the-court problem. I don't think he was an off-the-court problem guy. Like, I don't think it was that. Paulie, it was more so just like that type of stuff, right? Like a kind of like he was lazy and not going to work out.
He would show up to games right as layup lines were like starting, and he had bedhead, and it was.
Well, that's a conversation. I mean, I'm sure they had them, but like,
there should be before you get to. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can handle it. I mean, because everybody that has the freshman blues, I had the freshman blues when I was a freshman. You know what I mean? Where I like, man, I don't even want to look at. I know how that feels. I know how it feels. So yeah,
Paulie, you were there with me. You saw some of my stuff that I had going on, so it was.
Yeah, but I was younger and I enjoyed you. I would hang out with you back then.
Of course.
I didn't have any problem.
Yeah, I was a fun guy. We had a good time.
We had a good time.
But yeah, you could have figured it out, but it went how it went, and that's just how it is. I think too, maybe like back then, Coach was a little bit younger with us, and he was like, all right, he had the energy to deal with all that. Now in 2021, it was like, all right, I'm not dealing with this type of stuff. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's late or if he's just being lazy. Man, get up out of here. I got my son and Joe.
There we go. That's more what it was than the other stuff. I got my son and Joe. Okay, so stay there with it. I've seen Coach May put up with a whole lot of different stuff that would not have equaled a big issue before throughout the years with people who are playing and not playing. Like, it'd be some cats that ain't even playing that's acted out.
3.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. This is the Etan Devo Show. Here are former Syracuse standouts Etan Thomas and Eric Devendorf.
Let's hop back into what we were just talking about Red. I know we were talking about Kadari off here, but let's go back to what we were talking about with Red and how he, I guess, kind of handled that last question from the media. And to your point, I know you already spoke about it, but even if you don't have like a lot to say about it, like you said, just go off and be like, look, we're coming back next year. We're going to try to improve. We're going to go to the portal. We're going to try to get some NIL money. Just make the outlook be positive going into the season for the fans. I think that's what kind of we're both trying to say is you can't not answer that question. And again, I don't know at that time what was going through his head. Like, obviously, it wasn't, they just lost and they don't want to. Look, it's a lot going on. I get it, but man, we talked about this the whole year, and I love Red, but it comes with the territory as being a head coach at a historic basketball program, not just any basketball program. This is the top 5 winningest basketball program of all time. We're talking about the Dukes and the Carolinas, and Syracuse is in there because we have that many wins. So you have to be able to answer that question just with the positive outlook. Even if it doesn't happen, it might not happen. Next year might be the same year. It might be, you might not get guys from the portal. You might not get NIL money, but just to satisfy that person's question, you answer it like, man, we're going to go and we're going to work hard. I'm going to have a meeting with the coaching staff. We're going to do this, that, whatever it is. You can't say we're not going to answer that question because when are you going to answer it again? When are they going to ask that question again? That question's not going to be answered again. Like, no one's going to hear from you throughout the whole summer. You're doing your thing. So, I mean, the negativity that he got from that, I mean, you have to expect it. Like, you just have to expect it. You have to be able to answer that question and I guess deal with those situations a little bit better.
I agree 100%. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. It's not, you have to be as part of it comes with the package, It comes with the job. That's what you have to do. Hey, I want to ask you something else, though, that I saw over the weekend that was really interesting. I saw LeBron. He was there with his family, with his wife, with his daughter. Championship. And while he was sitting there was these kids that was just super obnoxious, yelling, and I don't know what they were yelling. I don't know if they were yelling something positive or they were yelling something negative, or heckling him, or if they wanted like a selfie, but they just would not stop. It was like, over and over and over. And you see his wife's kind of looking at him like, are you going to do something? Like, well, how should we handle this? And it's just crazy how sometimes some fans just do too much. You just do too much. Like, where was that kid's parents to snatch him up and say, like, hey, that's not how we act. You're going to be on camera embarrassing the family. Like, what would make someone think that was okay to do? And he just did it for like 3-4 seconds, and then you see LeBron doesn't respond, and you back off and go back to your seat. Just kept doing it over and over and over and wouldn't stop. Like, wow. That's the definition of doing too much.
I just saw the clip this morning, and he literally was like, 2 rows behind him or 3 rows behind him, yelling whatever he was yelling. I have no clue what he was yelling, but obviously it wasn't anything LeBron was excited about. But he was with his wife and his daughter, and some security had to step in at a moment in there to where they could be like, look, all right, man, like go back to your seat or whatever. But that's what he's been dealing with his whole life since 16 years old. So like how he handles those situations, I mean, that's what you got to do. You just ignore it, because if he would have reacted in any type of way, it turned around, said something, regardless of what he said, it would have been spun into he's the bad guy. Right. And again, look, nobody's perfect. LeBron's not perfect, but if a person had to deal with that their whole life, and I think me and you, like, obviously you more than me being in the NBA, but just even being in Cuse, like, we deal with that sometimes, right? And it's all and it's mostly all positive, but sometimes, like, when you're with your family or your friends or you're out, I love it, but it's like a time and place for all of that, and I think it's up to the person to know that, like, all right, this isn't the time or the place to be able to go up to my man and just start shouting in his ear. So, like, I could imagine, like, on a lower level, I deal with it, right? And we deal with it. But for LeBron to go through, man, that's crazy. So I just think the average person doesn't really understand, like, what it is dealing with that every single day of his life. My man can't even go outside of his house without being, with cameras and flicking and all that. So just from that standpoint, I think he's dealt with most of that stuff really, really well, especially when you got a 18-year-old kid or whatever he was just shouting in his ear with his daughter and his wife. And again, we don't even know what he was saying.
Well, let me just say to all the SU fans who probably already know this, but do not try that with Derek Coleman. Don't try that with DC. Don't try that. There's a list of players where you don't want, no matter what age you are, don't do that to them, because it's not going to end up well. You know what I mean? LeBron had a lot of restraint. He was just there. And like I said, again, we don't know what the kid was saying, but if it didn't look like it was that nice, but it could have been, but whatever, he was being obnoxious and yelling and nonstop while he was there with his family. So, do that with everybody.
And somebody says it comes with the territory. Maybe, yeah, it does. It does come with the territory, but it doesn't make it easier to deal with. You know what I mean? It's just something that's just the world that we live in. And people, it's clicks, it's likes, it's all that. And people, when they see a guy like LeBron or whoever, a famous person, they want to get in the picture and they want to make a scene. And they hey, look, I was on TV shouting at LeBron. And I mean, it's sad.
It's too much. You remember a little while ago, I think it was maybe a few years ago, Mike Tyson was on the plane minding his business, and the guy was acting all Mike. I'm like, what? You gonna do that to Mike Tyson? So whatever he does, and how he reacts to you, you get what you get. Just know that. But sometimes people, that doesn't go with the territory. There's certain things that I disagree with. Whoever the person that said that. There's certain things that you have to know that, okay, that's a little bit too much. Like, I shouldn't do that. Say hi to them, stuff like that. If you ask for an autograph or ask for a picture, they say yes, cool. If they say no, then move on. But the extra stuff is too much. There's too much, fans.
Yeah, when keeping it real goes wrong, and when keeping it real goes left, all the way left. Mike, look, you said a few names: DC, Mike Tyson. All right, my man found out real quick, and then when it happens, they're gonna go and sue you. It's like, and that's
oh my gosh! I can't believe that he responded that way. I can't believe that I'm like, are you serious? But that goes with not looking at athletes as humans, because you wouldn't do that to anybody else. You know what I mean? That can't come with it. If you see somebody else that you know or somebody else that you like, you don't do all of that. This is not like a video game character. This is an actual human being that is sitting there with his family. Like Mike Tyson, he's sitting on the airplane trying to mind his business. There's just certain things that you just don't know. You just don't do.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And again, I understand what people say. It comes with the territory when you're a college basketball coach or a professional basketball player, whatever it is. That comes with territory. You're going to have people come up to you in public, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that those people are allowed to cross that line and treat you less than a human. Like, I'm not a clown. This isn't a circus. You know what I mean? Like that stuff isn't going to happen. And if somebody was to come up to you like that and treat you like that in front of your family, you'd probably react a certain way too. Right. And a lot of the times these guys do a great job of handling it and not reacting. But the average person, if that was to happen, man, Ian, I don't want to get dramatic about it, but a lot of times that would end up in a real violent situation.
There'd be issues.
It's going to be issues, especially in front of your family. But E, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll finish up talking about Cuse, and I want to get your Final Four and your national championship predictions.
Hey, this is former Syracuse basketball player Etan Thomas.
Last season.
Yeah, my man, can we talk about Syracuse, please? Yeah, look, we talk about Syracuse all the time, man. We're gonna hit a couple other subjects too.
What they want to hear? Man. To ask the guy what he wants to hear. What do you want to hear about Syracuse?
Okay, nobody is watching Q Sports Talk to hear about LeBron. Okay. All right, give us some topics that you want to talk about. All Syracuse, man. All Syracuse, because we talked about the portal, we talked about Red, we talked about the players. You know, we love to talk about.
Don't feed the animals, guys. Don't feed the animals.
Okay, sorry.
I make that mistake.
Sorry.
I make that mistake all the time. Just do what you do.
And what about, Ryan talked about Charles Barkley. Remember Charles in the bar? He threw the guy out the window.
Out the window. Out the window.
Man. Threw the guy out the window, man. But look, man, that's hard. It's difficult to deal with all that all the time.
Yeah.
You trying to go have a drink and go try to, or just try to, enjoy your dinner. Excuse me, and then you got somebody all in your face. Who were the best Cuse dunkers?
Conrad McRae. That's who I got. Conrad, rest in peace.
Oh, so this guy, Brett said, who are some targets for Coach Jack to go after in the portal? On the women's side, you got me there, but I ain't gonna hold you. You got me on the women's side, and this thing, and I tell you this: nobody unless they get their NIL up. Seriously, you talking about the girl from Florida State and the girls from Notre Dame? Man, those girls getting 500. The one girl from Florida State was getting she was getting almost like 600-700. They were saying he's leading the nation in scoring.
I think that interesting. When was we? I don't even know. Was we talking about Weissman? It was on a break, right? Somebody had Weissman on the break. Okay, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I might ask you something with that because I saw where Coach Boeheim said that. Now let me get the actual quote here real quick, because he basically said what you were saying all along. Everybody said that you was wrong when you were saying it, but then Coach Boeheim said it, and they were like, "Okay, well, he might have a point." Like this was the same thing.
What was it?
About how much teams should spending in order to be good. Hold on, I got it right here. Okay, here I go. I got it. All right, cool. I'm gonna hit this because this is literally what you have been saying, and I saw a lot of different people saying, "No, we don't need that much. No, that's Eric is wrong. No." I'm like, so now
I'm tripping.
So I would have.
You want to hear something crazy, NIL guys? Syracuse's last Final Four team, I was talking to somebody up at SU, the one that barely got in the tournament, would have cost $11 million.
Hold on, for men's?
If they wanted to keep, if they wanted to keep,
Yeah, and we said 8 to 10, so we were wrong there. I was low.
Yeah, so I talked to somebody up there. They valued it at $11 million, their last Final Four team. And what were they, a 10 seed?
And they just said JJ is valued at like 800,000. I'll just tell you right now, with how he played. He got ACC all honorable mention. He averaged like 17. So his value, or however they do that, the money thing, is $800,000. You got to pay him $800,000 to come back to Cuse.
Yeah. Let's talk about that NIL real quick. I don't know if people really. I don't think they understand it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I definitely don't understand where the money comes from. I barely understand that, so it's crazy.
Has been
ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. This is the Etan Devo Show. Here are former Syracuse standouts Etan Thomas and Eric Devendorf.
Hey, I want to jump in here because I want to say that you've been saying all along about how much that we're going to do for NIL and talking about how important NIL is. And you talked about the starters from Kentucky and how much they're making. You said like $10 million is what we're going to need at least. And I saw a lot of different people say, "Oh no, Devendorf was wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't need that much. You know, that's too much. Somebody needs $10 million. All you need." So Coach Boeheim was on Sirius XM, right? And he said, this is a quote. He said, "The top college hoops teams are spending $8 to $10 million on NIL. Your team is going to spend money or it's not going to win." So, because Boeheim says it, everybody's like, "Oh, okay." So that might be. You've been saying this for how many weeks, E? You've been saying it over and over again. This is what we need. We need $10 million at least. At least. And, you know, remember, we have to retain the players that we have. We still going to have to pay some of the freshmen. Like, I don't know where it's going to come from and everything like that, but people have to understand how this NIL game is and what is actually needed in order for us to be where everybody wants us to be.
And I don't think they know how much money these other schools really have, man. We talked a while ago about Maryland getting 2 donations from 2 guys, and it was $10 million each. It's $20 million right there from 2 guys. And now if they do the little collective and all that, I'm sure they're going to get 5 to 6. That's $26 million. For just for their, come on, man. And we talked about Michigan State. Magic Johnson came on saying, "Hey, whatever they need, it's unlimited. Their budget is unlimited. They don't worry about what this guy needs. You got it. I got it. Or my guy's guy got it. You know. So it's like these, man. $8 to $10 million is probably on the. And I was thinking like, all right, that's on the lower end, maybe. You know, Kentucky's starting 5 to $6 million. That was their starting 5. You know, and just their starting 5. And you just mentioned retaining guys. J.J. Starling was ACC all honorable mention. He averaged, 17 points, something like that. I was talking to somebody, and they were saying what his value would be based on his season this year. $800,000. $700,000 to $800,000. That's just to keep JJ. And okay, and I know he's from Syracuse, and I know he loves his family and being here. But if you can't give him $800,000 and somebody else comes in and gives him $800,000 or $900,000 or $1 million, because there will be other schools that are going to do that. There's going to be other schools that could use a J.J. Starling.
There's going to be schools that offer Donnie Freeman. What do you think that he's going to go for?
$1 million. I mean, I've heard Texas. I've heard numerous schools. You know what I mean? That are already. Man, listen. Let's not be remiss about any of this. Schools have been hitting these guys up during the year. Let's just be real. Yeah, let's just be real. Yeah, they're right. They're representative. They're agent, but it's happening throughout the year. Oh man, he looks like he's not having a good time at all. How much is he getting paid? Oh, we'll triple that. He's getting paid $400,000. Well, we got $1 million for him, and he's going to play, and he's going to be the man. Whatever it is, you know what I mean. I don't know if the average fan really understands what this NIL stuff is about, man. It's a whole different level. And if you don't have your NIL game up, you're going to be struggling. That's just what it is. I don't care who you're bringing in. It's not about recruiting high school guys anymore, no matter how good they are. I mean, you got your few and far between, which is like, you know, could go to the NBA, McDonald's, whatever it is, right? And those guys are going to be $1 million. My man going to BYU getting $7 million.
He's an outlier, bro.
He's an outlier. But that's just a crazy example right there. Like, my man is getting $7 million to play for 5 months. 5 months. And then he's going to go and be a top 5 draft pick.
Yep.
You know, so they're talking about $5 million. I see some people are tweeting me or whatever. $5 million should be enough. All right, bet you're just going to be talking like how we are talking this year about this team.
Just so y'all know that. That's where we are at $5 million. You see what other teams are doing.
1 minute.
Coach Boeheim said that's where we're going to be. That's what it boils down to.
That's what we're going to be. So you better get your NIL game up. E, we got about 1 minute. E, I just wanted to get your predictions. So give me your Final Four or either or your Final Four or your national championship. Doesn't matter. Which one?
I don't know. I'm never good with Final Fours though. But what do you think? I'll pass it right back to you. Who you got?
Okay, so I got the cheat sheet in front of me. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to pick St. John's for one of my Final Fours. I'm going to do, let me get Houston, Duke, and Auburn. All right. So Auburn, St. John's, Duke, and Houston. And then honestly, I think Duke wins it. I think Duke could win it. This is all with Cooper Flagg, so I'm saying Cooper Flagg is playing. Okay. So I got Duke winning, and I think Florida could win it, but I like St. John's just upsetting them in the Elite Eight.
Okay. So we'll see.
So that's what we got, man. That's what we got. And all right, so Duke, that's my national championship. It didn't hurt me to say that because they're part of the ACC. But hopefully, next season we could be talking about Cuse being in the NCAA tournament. But again, you heard it from us. Get your NIL game up. No, it's not $5 million. No, it's not $6 million. You better get 10 and above. Yep. And that's a fact. And that's a fact. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Next Monday, same time, same place. Make sure you guys tune in. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next week.